Hi, y'all. My name is Megan Green, aka Mercurial Megan. I am an astrologer and tarot reader based out of Gainesville, Florida. I love to read astrology charts and read tarot for clients and friends, but I also love to look at popular culture and just be kind of silly with these techniques when it comes to some of these more cultural topics. So I thought I would do something that I have not done before. Especially because it's been a minute since I've been posting these types of videos. But I thought I would kind of just do like a rapid fire tarot session with a bunch of different topics. So I had a couple of people ask for an update on Kendrick and Drake. I had a couple of people ask about Nicki Minaj. I've had a couple of people curious about Kanye West and the rumors that he may be addicted to nitrous oxide by way of his dentist. I am also kind of personally curious in the drama between Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, and maybe also an update on P. Diddy. So I kind of just want to go through some of the very, whatever topics that I can kind of think of, do a really quick 3-card pull for each one, and just see what kind of comes up. So let's get into that. Let me turn my phone off. And I think the first one that I want to start with is going to be Kanye, because Kanye is controversial. He is a true Gemini with his, massive duality. And I am also a big Kanye fan. So even though I don't agree with a lot of the things that he has said, he is certainly a very talented individual who has really provided the soundtrack to a lot of my life. So I am always rooting for Kanye, and I always want him to kind of come back to himself. So I'm kind of curious to see if there's any truth to the rumors about that, maybe what the state of his health is, and just where he's at as an individual. So let's pull 3 for Kanye and just kind of see what comes up. All right, Kanye. For Kanye, the Queen of Pentacles, 9 of Swords, 7 of Cups. Okay, so there's definitely some concern here. So the keywords that I have for the Queen of Pentacles, and I always like to kind of start with keywords so that people who are learning tarot can understand some of the basic definitions and know that I'm just not making this stuff up, but then also I provide my interpretation of those cards as well, which may help you learn how to read cards for yourself. So the Queen of Pentacles, the keywords that represent the Queen of Pentacles are independence, fertility, and a resourceful person. Now we also have the 9 of Swords in the middle, and the middle card usually kind of is the center theme for me. And the 9 of Swords is about anxiety, depression, worry, grief, and nightmares. Now the last card is the 7 of Cups, and the keywords for that is too many choices, unable to commit. Sometimes it's about illusion as well. So I am concerned for Kanye. The Queen of Pentacles is really, to me, reflecting some feminine energy in his life. And if I remember correctly, I think his wife, Bianca Censori, is a Capricorn. And if that is the case, that's an earth sign, and earth signs are associated with the Queen of Pentacles. So I do think she's trying to support him and hold him down. And I think she's probably concerned. The 9 of Swords does suggest that there's some sort of worry there. And the 7 of Cups is very illusory. It is associated, I think, with Neptune and Pisces, and I know that Kanye is a Pisces moon. So I do think that there are probably a lot of maybe delusions or things that are not really clear for him. And he might be, using some unhelpful means in order to sort of cope with that. I mean, we all have seen Kanye really struggle with the loss of his mother, his divorce, his career to some extent, the industry. So I definitely feel like he is in a state that is probably causing a bit of worry, stress, and anxiety, and pressure on his loved ones. I think I want to pull one more specifically for Kanye's current state. Specifically Kanye's current state. One more for Kanye. 6 of Pentacles. So the keywords for the 6 of Pentacles are generosity, yin yang, giving and receiving of help. Sometimes it's unfairness, miserliness, expecting a return. In terms of that, it would seem like maybe Kanye is a bit focused on a project. I know he just recently had an album come out, Vultures 2. I don't really think it has done well. So there could be something about like the investments that he's made, maybe not feeling like he's gotten out of it what he's put into it, or vice versa. Like maybe he's not really put a lot into it. But it also seems like he might be trying to seek some balance or try to make things right. Like things that might seem unfair to him, he may be trying to justify or balance out in some way. Okay, so that's interesting. In terms of the potential of him being addicted, this certainly could speak to substance abuse. And then the Nine of Swords is also a stress or a concern or a worry. So I tend to believe that that may be true. So let's go ahead and now let's look at, since we're in the hip hop world, let's just stay there and let's now look at Kendrick and Drake. I'm going to pull one card for Kendrick, one card for Drake, and the energy in between them will be in the middle. So let's see if there's been any updates. Kendrick has been pretty quiet, so I am curious to see what he has been doing behind the scenes. Drake has been kind of like casually and quietly releasing music, which has not really made big waves. So I am curious to see what these gentlemen are up to and if we can get any information on where they currently stand. What is going on with Kendrick and Drake? Okay, here we go. First card will be for Kendrick, Empress. For Drake, Seven of Wands. In between them, Temperance. Okay, so the keywords for the Empress, we have creation, development, abundance, fertility. For the Seven of Wands, we have defensiveness, assertiveness, protect yourself. For the Temperance card, we have moderation, healing, balance, and self-control. On the low end, it can be about conflict, impatience, discord, and pushing poor results. So the last time that I read for Kendrick, I want to say that the Empress came up. I know that the Six of Cups definitely came up. And I remember at that time saying that it probably had something to do with his wife, and maybe also something to do with the kids. This was before they were actually featured in the Not Like Us video. So when that came out, I was also kind of not surprised because they were really kind of showing up very loudly in the cards. The Empress is showing up here again. And to me, this is really representing, again, his partner, Whitney. So I am curious to see if their relationship goes to the next level, if they decide to finally officially get married or maybe announce that they've always been married or, you know, something to that effect. I'm also just thinking in terms of it not being about his partner, that it could just be about him really creating a project or something substantial. There have been rumors that he's working on a new album. I think that this may be true. The Empress is a really strong card for something like that in that position. It's very creative, fertile with ideas. If he is working on something, this could really be quite a masterpiece and maybe something that he is going to be really known for over time. Now, the Seven of Wands is defensiveness. It's the need to protect yourself. If you notice here, we've got a figure who has got its wand, but then it's got 6 more wands coming at it. So I know that Drake is currently feeling under pressure. He is probably feeling very defensive. I think behind the scenes, he's probably paranoid as fuck. I really do think that there is some tension there. And it doesn't feel all of that productive, though the Wands cards are fire signs and they do sort of represent an element of creativity as well. So it is possible that he is kind of putting some of this anger into his creative works and his passion. But truthfully, I feel like he might still be stuck in a need to defend himself or is just kind of being very watchful and on edge. Now, in between them is Temperance, which is about balance and moderation. I do kind of feel like things have simmered. I don't really know that Kendrick will address Drake again. unless Drake specifically comes at him with something that he sees as a legitimate response. I know that there have been a couple of sneak disses in a few of the tracks that Drake has released, but honestly, they've not been anything worthy of a response. So I don't really think that this is Kendrick's focus anymore. I really think that he's kind of tempered down on that, again, temperance, and has probably, said what he's needed to say and has moved on. Now, again, with the temperance card in regards to Drake, I feel like this dude needs to take a break. I really feel like he needs to kind of go back to basics, chill out, figure out who he is, who he wants to be, what he wants to present out into the world. With the Seven of Wands, though, I wonder if there's not an ability to do that. I know sometimes when you are involved in the industry, there are expectations from the label or for people who, have some sort of authority against you, and they may really be putting the pressure on for him, not really allowing him to get that chance for balance and moderation and a sense of calm. So that's kind of what I'm getting for those guys. Let's stay in that hip hop world and let's go ahead and look at Sean Combs and his freaky ass. We had, I'm trying to think if there's been any updates on them since we last talked, but I don't think so. So let's just pull for him and see maybe what's going on with him behind the scenes, if there's any updates that we can get in terms of other, lawsuits that have come his way or potential legal action as well. What's going on with Sean Combs? Okay, 3 for Sean. Strength, Knight of Pentacles, Page of Cups. Okay, so the Strength card, the keywords for that are courage, strength, determination, self-control. On the low end, it can be pettiness, apprehension, unfaithfulness, and weakness. Then we have the Knight of Pentacles, which is about hard work, it's responsibility, and it can be stubborn. It's also about complacency, hesitation, and a lack of confidence. And then we wrap this up with the Page of Cups, which on the high end is new love, playfulness, and a happy surprise. And on a low end, it is immaturity, a lack of desire, and being overly sensitive. On my first impression, I feel like he has a sense of overconfidence that he is protected. The Strength card does sort of suggest some confidence, feeling like you're in a power position to some extent. And also if you see that the figure there is sort of taming that lion, it makes me think that he feels like he's in control of the situation. Now, the Knight of Pentacles is about stubbornness. So this could just be pure delusion. And it can also, well, not delusion. Delusion might be the wrong word. This might be like overconfidence or, believing that you have an upper hand in a situation. It can also be related to like a financial backing. Perhaps someone behind the scenes is, supporting him or kind of having his back in some way that, is feeding into that overconfidence. And then the Page of Cups is about like, I honestly still think he might be doing some shady relationship things with women. Every time I see the Page of Cups, it's like fuckboy energy. If it's on sort of like that lower vibrational end and just based on the topic, we're obviously talking about something that is kind of on that lower vibrational frequency. So I still feel like there might be things that he's currently doing to partners or women in his life that might be sort of manipulative or somewhat abusive. But also this could just be his emotional immaturity. And again, the belief that like this situation is just going to kind of blow over and be fine. I'm curious to see if I can get more information on the legal matters. Will there be further legal action for Sean Combs? Will there be any sort of consequences or punishment for any of these lawsuits and behaviors that have come to light? The Justice card. Yeah, I think he is, he's going to get his. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think what has come out since we have last, done videos on this is the video of him assaulting Cassie in the hotel. So we have seen evidence of him doing the things that she claimed that he did. And it really, I know one of the very first readings that I did on them, I showed a rallying of support around Cassie, and that really did come to be true once that video came out. A lot of the naysayers who were kind of writing off her accusations had to kind of eat their words and acknowledge that, you know, she really did suffer at his hands. So the Justice card does suggest that he is going to get his at some point in time. Now, it may take a while. We know the wheels of justice can be very slow moving at times, but I do think eventually that is going to catch up with him, which is great news. All right, let's go ahead and see. Someone asked about Nicki Minaj. I don't really know what's going on with Nicki. I think she's been kind of quiet recently. I know that there are always a little bit of controversy surrounding her and her partner, but let's see if anything in particular comes out about Nicki Minaj and what she might be currently experiencing or feeling, or what might be coming up in the future for her. All right, what's going on with Nicki? The Star card. Page of Cups again. Strength again. Did I shuffle these well enough? I feel like I did. I want to pull a couple more just to make sure. What else is going on with Nicki? And I mean, some of this energy may be very similar for her in terms of like overconfidence and in terms of like maybe dealing with a fuckboy. But I also think the Star card is about creativity. And she may be putting herself back into the spotlight at some point. Maybe also releasing a new project. The Star card is about inspiration. And it's also about like hope, faith, spiritual love, like a higher guidance. So I wonder if she's kind of having some revelations or maybe coming to a place of renewal and really kind of wanting to give a new emotional offering. I wonder if there's going to be some vulnerability in the work that she puts out there. But let me just pull, I think I want to pull two more and just see if I can get some clarification on that Page of Cups and the Strength card. So for Page of Cups, we have High Priestess. And then we have the King of Pentacles with the Strength card. Okay, so the High Priestess is about trust, intuition. It's about kind of like trusting your inner guidance, self-knowledge, mystery. It can also be about secrets. So layered on top of this Page of Cups, I'm wondering if we're going to hear something come out about her partner, especially with the King of Pentacles also involved. The King of Pentacles is about wealth, generosity. It's a practical leader, a wise investor, but on the low end, it's also things like greed, egoism, control, dominance, and neglect. Initially, I had said I wonder if there's some of this similar like fuckboy energy or like overconfidence energy. I do feel like she may be coming to some realizations about her choices in partner and maybe recognizing that this was not a wise investment. But I'm also seeing her in this process investing in herself and trusting her own inner guidance and knowledge and knowing her star quality and that she deserves better. So I hope that she kind of steps into that and leans into that. Nicki is a very talented musician, artist. So I would love to kind of see her reclaim her energy and her title and maybe kind of make amends with some of the people or the gals in the industry that she's, had conflict with. Okay. Next, I want to do a quick little look on Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck. They are such comedy to me, and just a mess. I don't know if you've ever seen their charts, and maybe that's something that I'll do in the future, but they have very, very similar charts. So I think a lot of their attraction to one another is that they do have a lot of common ground and a lot of similarities, but I also think that that is precisely the thing that also pulls them apart, is that when there are blows to their ego or when they feel like they are not getting what they want or that they're not the star, they're both Leo suns, that there can be some potential conflict there, or even just in the way that they express their stardom seems to be a point of tension between them. So let me just pull 3. Jennifer will be first. Ben will be the third card, and then the energy between will be in the middle. What's going on with Jen and Ben? J-Lo is the Ace of Pentacles. Ben is the Page of Pentacles. And in between them, the 8 of Pentacles. Money, money, money. I know that J-Lo has recently filed. It sounds like they're not asking for any sort of financial support, but with so much financial energy here, I think the money is going to get weird at some point. The Ace of Pentacles is about new beginnings. It's about a raise or investing in yourself. On the low end, it can be about deficiency, excess spending, or a lack of planning. The Page of Pentacles for Ben is solid beginnings, news of a new job or housing. And at the low end, it's about a standstill, lack of a solid plan, or path forward. In between them is the 8 of Pentacles, which is about productivity, enjoying your employment. And on the low end, feeling undervalued, burnout, and overworking. So this to me feels like J-Lo is trying to probably rebrand and wants to be back on the top. I think it really bothered her that she was kind of the butt of the jokes recently, and that people did not take her project seriously. But with that being said, I recently saw an article that was saying that after she announced her divorce, the views for her documentary went up like 1,300% or something like ridiculous like that. I can't remember the exact headline, but it was like an astronomical amount of people viewing it after they divorced. So I think that that is also kind of empowering her and maybe kind of stroking that ego in some way, and even possibly like justifying her decisions to make that project and to put it out there, even though Ben was not really a fan or did not seem, you know, all that excited about releasing some of their private life. So it does suggest that she is looking for a new financial beginning, possibly a new rebranding of some sort. She really kind of wants to put herself out there and start over again. Now, Ben is the Page of Pentacles. And again, that's also a suggestion of a new beginning or new work. So I wonder if he's also going to be taking on a new project of some sort. It's also about like a lack of a path forward. So I'm really feeling like he may be very lost. He might be feeling very depleted. I do get the sense that there may be a little bit of like disappointment or possible shame in the fact that that relationship did not work after he sacrificed and worked so hard for it, which is this Page of Pentacles. I honestly do feel with that 8 of Pentacles in between, I feel like they did work for their relationship, or that they wanted it to work. But ultimately, I feel like the external things took precedent in at least one of their lives. The Pentacles can often be about like material successes, external successes, some of those more like superficial themes of like wealth and greed and things like that. So I'm curious if that kind of stuff just overwhelmed the amount of work that they were doing. I want to let's just pull 2 more and see if I can get any further. So much financial energy. I wonder how that's going to go down in the divorce. Hopefully it'll just be a clean break, since it does seem like they're each holding their own pentacle and have their own money. But money always gets kind of funny in these situations. So let's see if I can get anything further in terms of this connection. 4 of Wands. Knight of Swords. Okay, so the keywords for the 4 of Wands are celebration, happy families, homecoming, reunions. On the low end, it's discord, insecurity, lack of community. And then the Knight of Swords on the high end is assertiveness, lifestyle change, fast talking person. And on the low end, it's chaos, inconsiderate, pushy, and aggressive. So I really want to believe that J-Lo has learned her lesson, but this card makes me feel like she's still going to try and create this family couple life with someone else. Like, she just doesn't seem to be able to stop for some reason. So I'm curious to see if that's how that turns out, if she does, kind of jump into another relationship or tries to kind of, work on building another family life. Now, to be more optimistic, this can also just be about like her investing in herself, finding her own security, finding her own happiness within the family that already exists. So that is a possibility. And maybe she's working towards really building a solid foundation for herself that does not involve a partner. But just knowing her track record, I feel like she's going to try and do this again fairly quickly. Like, Four of Wands, I'm thinking within the next 4 years, we might see her getting married again. The Knight of Swords can be a very verbally aggressive person. And I think that if this does happen, like, let's look at the image of this. Like, the Knight of Wands is kind of attacking into this card, right? I feel like if this does happen again, we might vocally hear from Ben, just kind of like calling her out and just being very, very honest, very assertive, very aggressive about his thoughts, no filter. Just kind of putting it all out there. Like, oh, you wanted this to be all public knowledge, let's make this all public knowledge. He seems this is like an aggressive energy coming from Ben. And I know for the most part, he seems kind of chill. But I think if this divorce gets messy, I think he's not going to be chill. If his character starts getting attacked, I think he is going to, protect himself in whatever way he needs to. And perhaps in a way that is very, brash. Okay, let me think. Is there anyone else that I want to cover today? Are there any other stories that come to mind that we should focus on? Who have I talked about in the past? Oh, let's do Kylie and Timothee Chalamet. Kylie Jenner and Timothee Chalamet. Is that relationship real? What's going on with them? Are they still together? Is this publicity? I know in our last reading, we kind of came to terms that they probably are friendly and have a decent, connection, but it did not read as super romantic to me. It mostly read as like a financial sort of like business arrangement or something that was mutually beneficial for both of them in a professional way. But it's been a while since that reading, so let's see if anything comes up. What's going on with Kylie and Timmy? What's going on with them? Kylie is the Chariot. Timothee is the Page of Swords, and in between them is the Knight of Swords. Ooh. Okay, I don't love this energy, truthfully, but let's get into it. Okay, so the Chariot, keywords for that are a journey, victory, momentum, perseverance. On the low end, it can be things like stagnation, unable to move, and unsuccessful. The Page of Swords on the high end is prying eyes, truth, enthusiasm, curiosity. On the low end, it is gossip, tantrums, defensiveness, bad news. And then again, in between is that Knight of Swords, which is about assertiveness, lifestyle change, fast-talking person, chaos, inconsiderate, pushy, aggressive. I think we might be hearing of a breakup soon. It seems like the Chariot suggests that Kylie might be moving on in some way, or moving on to the next project or the next PR stunt or something like that. But there is some sort of momentum happening on her end. And then the Page and the Knight of Swords here for Timothee, and the vibe in between is like, I think he's really annoyed. I think he's really annoyed, and perhaps not with her, but maybe more with like public perception and, other people's opinions and how it might be affecting them as a unit. But this feels very irritable. And I bet that there's probably a lot of arguments or, possibly some drama behind the scenes. Let me pull two more just to see if I can get some clarity about that. But I kind of feel like we might be getting an announcement soon. Let's see. Or maybe, I always like to give like a positive and a potential negative turnout. Maybe this is like him speaking out to the media and kind of being very defensive of her. and really wanting to, speak up and be protective of her. But the Chariot on her end suggests that she's like moving, or that there's some movement going on. So I don't know about that. All right, let's see. Knight of Cups. Hanged Man. So the Knight of Cups is emotional offerings, Prince Charming. It's also about perfectionism, disappointment, and possible jealousy. The Hanged Man, is a reversal. It's about letting go, self-sacrifice, suspension. Can also be impatience, inertia, a useless sacrifice, and an unwillingness. With that Knight of Cups and that Knight of Swords, again, I can think about this in two ways. In one way, the Knight of Cups could be like the act of him being her boyfriend and him getting annoyed with that and wanting to kind of break that bond, or, not really participate in that role. But again, this could also kind of feed into what I was just saying in terms of like, he might really care about her and really kind of be defensive of her. And if there's an attack on her publicly anytime soon, he may actually speak out and really defend her in some way. But then the Hangman, again, is about a reversal or a letting go, or, needing to see things from a different perspective. I think one of the other keywords was like a useless sacrifice. So I'm still wondering, like, if he feels like this wasn't worth it and if he wants to undo what was done there. I'm also wondering with the Knight of Cups if Kylie is going to try and move on to someone else and pull another kind of like public relationship type thing here. And if that does happen, if he, again, is like kind of annoyed. Timothee's coming out as the Swords, which are very intellectual cards. They're cards about communication and thoughts. So we might be kind of hearing from him soon. But Kylie seems to be moving on and moving forward. And I think there's some sort of letting go that's also going to occur between them, some sort of release. And it could be a release of the bond, or, it could be a release of the act, or it could also be a release of putting up with the attacks on their relationship. Okay. I think I want to end this video with a quick little pull for Kamala and Trump and the election, and just see what kind of comes up for them. I think that's a good ending place. And then if you guys enjoyed this, maybe this is something that I will continue to do in the future. If there are any topics that you would like me to do a chart reading and a card pull on, let me know in the comments, and I will start trying to do more of these videos and put some of that content out. So what is going on with Kamala, with Trump? What's the vibe between them? What might be the results of this election? And do not come for me in the comments. I do not care. I don't care. So just don't even bother. So here we go. Tarot is, this is supposed to be kind of lighthearted and fun. Don't take it too seriously. Okay. What's going on with Kamala? She'll be first, Trump will be third, and the vibe in between. Kamala is the Four of Cups. Trump is the Hermit. Huh. In between is the Sun. Let me pull one more for both Kamala and Trump. The Hermit for Trump. Okay, let me see if I can get anything more. So for Kamala, the Hierophant. For Trump, Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so for Kamala, she started with the Four of Cups. That's deep thought, soul-searching, apathy, disillusion. On the low end, it can be things like avoidance, lack of caring, or missed opportunities. Trump has the Hermit, and that is about wisdom, inner strength, prudence, solitude. On the low end, it's things like loneliness, imprudence, isolation, and having lost your way. Kamala also had the Hierophant, and that card is about conformity, religion, social approval, traditions. On the low end, it can be rebellion, unconventionality, frailty, and unorthodoxy. Trump got the Knight of Pentacles. We've seen that card recently, and it's about hard work, responsible person, or being stubborn. On the low end, it can also be about complacency, hesitation, and a lack of confidence. And then in between them is the Sun, which is material happiness, success, youth, and vitality. And on the low end, it is pessimism, loneliness, confusion, and sadness. Interesting. So with Kamala and the Four of Cups and the Hierophant, I think she's really reflecting on the weight of what she's potentially taking on. The Hierophant does sort of refer to like some official, role. It can be things like, government or, positions of power or positions of of knowledge. But then that Four of Cups is that reflection or that disconnect or that apathy. I wonder if personally behind the scenes she is starting to feel kind of overwhelmed. With that also being said, when I see the Hierophant on her side, it does kind of suggest that, if I had to compare these two sets of cards, she seems to have the stronger set. Again, that Hierophant card is really like a role of authority to some extent. And like a leadership position also. If you look at the figure, like they're sitting on a throne with two figures underneath them, sort of looking up to that person. So if I had to guess just based on this card spread, I think she might actually win, but I think it might come with a great deal of like emotional pressure and stress that she may not be 100% sure that she is ready for. Now the Hermit for Trump, I'll just be frank. Sometimes the Hermit can be things like isolation. And when I think about isolation, I think about the 12th house in astrology, and some of the things that the 12th house represents are things like imprisonment or hospitalization. So I'm a little concerned about Trump in terms of that. He might not be physically doing well, and his health might be a concern, or some of his legal matters might be coming to the forefront, and there could be repercussions for that kind of isolate him. From society. I don't personally read Trump as this like highly introspective person, but after the attack on him at his rally, it is possible that he is starting to be more introspective, really kind of thinking about, the meaning of life and what this is all for. So, I want to play devil's advocate and say that it could also be about that. Now, the Knight of Pentacles, again, is like a financial card. So I'm a bit curious to see financially what's going on with him. I do think he's working really hard to win this candidacy. I think whether or not he becomes a hermit really depends on if he's able to accomplish this goal. So that is something that's really interesting to me also. And I also just wonder if he's got some sort of financial backing or someone that's really going to sort of like put some money behind him and maybe push him forward in some way. Now, this could also be him having to kind of like repay some of his debts or pay the piper for things that he's done in the past. Now, the Sun is interesting. And actually, I think I want to pull one clarifier for the Sun just to see before I give my final interpretation of that card. What's going on with the Sun? Ooh. Okay. So I pulled the Five of Pentacles. The Five of Pentacles is poverty, worry, physical or financial depletion. On the low end, it's the end of hardship, positive change, and forgiveness. I'm worried about our guy Trump. Well, he's not my guy, but I'm worried about Trump. I do think that there's going to be some sort of financial debt that needs to be paid or some karmic debt that needs to be paid. I do feel like there are some hard times ahead. The Sun is a card of like confidence and vitality and strength. It also is, to me, like a spotlight on situations. So On one end, it can be overconfidence for either of these candidates. It could be, like strength and pride and ego and vitality. But on another end, it can be really illuminating everything about them. So that would be like the good things, the bad things, the scars, the warts, all of that can be really highlighted through, the brightness of the sun shining on either of them. But that Five of Pentacles does sort of suggest some sort of hardship or challenge that they may be facing. And I do kind of tend to lean it towards Trump just because he's the only person with a pentacle in this spread. So I do think that there's going to be some paying of the piper or something that's going to have to be accounted for. And again, I think in terms of Kamala, for her, it's about like owning the confidence of this position, stepping into the role, highlighting for her. I think it would be for either of these candidates. I think it would be really smart to focus on the challenges that Americans are facing, the real challenges. Like, I don't want to hear about the military. I don't want to hear about, any of these sort of like external topics. And when I say external, I mean like outside of the US. Though with that being said, the war in Gaza is an incredibly important topic that does need to be addressed more by both of these candidates. But I'm really thinking that the American people want to hear what you're going to do for us. What are you going to do in terms of inflation? What are you going to do in terms of, childcare and schools and food and, mental health and all of these very like tangible, real issues that Americans are facing? That is kind of the focus. And when I see the Sun card, I'm thinking children is also a very big part of this narrative also. Like, what are we creating for the next generation? And I think whichever candidate can kind of tap into that the best might have the best outcome. But truthfully, Trump should be concerned based on this spread. This does not seem like a super strong spread for him. And in terms of Kamala, I think the responsibilities are starting to weigh heavily on her. She is really starting to recognize what she's about to take on, and needing to kind of come to terms with that and either kind of, fully go all in or get support where she needs it, because this is kind of happening at an accelerated speed. Okay, I think that's all I have for you guys today. I hope that you found this helpful. It is always a pleasure to meet with you all in this format. I will try to do more of these videos. Again, if you have suggestions, please drop it in the comments and let me know. I am also offering readings, so you can find the link in my bio or the info section, and I would love to read your cards or your charts for you. I hope you guys are having a beautiful day, and I hope to connect with you all soon. Bye.